It was a sunny spring morning when the student walked into the temple gardens. As he strolled along the pebbled path, a withered cherry tree caught his attention. The gnarled branches were bare, the bark peeling and cracked, yet somehow the student sensed an aura of dignity around the old tree. Just then the master approached and stood beside the student. "Master, this tree is so withered and decayed. Should we not chop it down and plant a new sapling in its place?" asked the student. The master smiled gently. "Do you see only decay in this old tree, or can you find beauty in its aged form?" The student pondered this for a moment. "I suppose there is a certain grace in the shape of its branches, but surely new life would be preferable to this old relic." "Ah, but remember, decay nurtures new life. This process of change is natural, not something to be feared. Consider how this tree offers shade and stability, even in its current state." The student nodded slowly, seeing the truth in the master's words. Perhaps the cycle of growth and decay held its own beauty after all. The master continued, "Do not focus only on surface appearances. Consider how this tree has weathered countless seasons over decades, even as time has weathered its surface. Its true essence remains untouched by any decay." The student looked again at the withered cherry tree with new eyes. He noticed how its cracked bark resembled ripples on a pond, evidencing the passage of time. The twisted branches reached for the sky like gnarled hands in supplication, and even without blossoms, the grace of the tree's form shone through. "I begin to understand, Master. The decay does not diminish its beauty but adds character and texture. Each stage of life has its own purpose and poetry." The master nodded approvingly. "Now you see, beauty depends not on conditions but perspective. We must learn to seek beauty in all manifestations of nature's cycles and seasons." The student bowed deeply before the ancient tree. In that moment, its silent endurance and dignity revealed deeper teachings about acceptance and impermanence. Though all things may fade in time, each phase held its own unique beauty. The student had learned to see past surface appearances and find grace in decay. As the day went on, the student continued observing the withered cherry tree. He noticed how birds perched on its weary branches, finding refuge in its shade. Ants and insects crawled along its trunk, underscoring its role in the web of life. In the evening, when sunset rays washed over the gardens, the withered tree took on an ethereal beauty. Its silhouette against the orange sky was striking. The student imagined how splendid this tree must have looked in full pink blossom many springs ago. Yet he now understood that the temporal blossoms were not the tree's sole purpose. Its current state also had value and meaning in the overall harmony of the gardens. As darkness fell, the old tree seemed to rest in quiet contemplation. The student sensed its tranquility and acceptance of the cycle of life. He whispered, "I know now that each phase has its own poignant beauty if we open our perception. One day, I too will wither and return to earth like falling petals. But for now, this moment is mine to appreciate the teachings of nature." At peace under the silent watch of the aged cherry tree, the student closed his eyes and meditated through the night. When dawn broke, the chirping of birds stirred the student from his meditation beneath the ancient tree. As morning mist lifted from the gardens, the tree appeared almost ethereal, its crooked silhouette tracing delicate patterns against the pastel sky. The student bowed down before the tree in a gesture of deep respect. "Thank you for your wisdom, honored tree. I will carry the lessons of beauty, impermanence, and renewal that you have taught me." Just then, a gentle breeze shook the bare branches, causing a few withered blossoms to detach and spiral down onto the student's lap. He understood this as the tree's silent benediction. Placing his palm against the weathered trunk, the student made a vow. "I will remember that beneath the ever-changing surface, the essence of all things remains untouched by time. Growth and decay are only phases in the continual cycle of life." With these parting words, the student took his leave, walking meditatively through the mist-veiled gardens. The teachings of the withered cherry tree would stay with him always, helping him to look beyond appearances and find grace in all seasons of life. For true beauty blossomed from within, not without. This is Narrative Dreamscape. Thanks for watching.